Hi everyone, John Johnson, and today I'm going to take a look at social media's impact on sports. And that's my Capstone project, how social media has affected the growth of sports, and how sports has affected the growth of social media. Uh, Reporters now, are more so than ever, use social media to break news, and the interaction amongst fans and players is ever growing, and the use of social media is tremendous within it. Um, Fans nowadays have more connections to players than they ever did before, and vice versa. Players are more in tune with fans than ever before. But with that is coming the shrinking locker room. News breaks out, gossip stories breaks out, and social media helps perpetuate it. Fans are on Twitter and Facebook more often than ever before, and reporters understand that. So what reporters are doing is they're trying to break news as quickly as possible to get information out there. One of the people we're going to look at throughout the project is a reporter like John Heyman. John Heyman is a reporter, and what he does is it's his job to break news. Before he's able to write his column for CBS, he goes on his Twitter account and will release information. And that type of information and connection is what fans really want. They want to be able to sit there and get news and up to the minute information as quickly as possible because it keeps them connected with what's going on in the sports world as well as with their team and the reporters. They're also reporters like John Heyman also love to interact with fans, and the interaction is cool because it brings fans together. It helps grow the sport and grow the brand. But with the positives, there are negatives, and negatives have shown up tremendously over the past few years or past few months. For instance, one incident that played out in social media was the Richie Incognito, Jonathan Martin incident. The fact that racial slurs and that type of thing played out in the media hurt not only the Miami Dolphins, but it hurt the reputation of two players. We had one fan base that was against Richie Incognito, and then we had another fan base that was against Jonathan Martin, saying he should have never played this thing out within social media. And this dragged on for months on end. You also have incidents where Jameis Winston got arrested, and before the news outlets released this, social media made a report about the incident, and then it blew up on Twitter, where fans, who again are closer than ever, went after this kid, and it ruined his reputation. And now he's a guy who at one point would be considered a first round draft pick. Next year is now have a lot of question marks about his character and who he is. So the fact that social media and the way people blew up about an incident that normally, a couple years ago may have gotten pushed underneath swept underneath the rug, as because the guy, Jameis Winston, only ended up having to do community service and he stayed with on the football team. He was never kicked out. The fact that it played out so much throughout social media and the impact that it's had on his reputation and the reputation of Florida State has been tremendous, and it's an impact of, or it's a showing of how social media has kind of impacted sports. Positively, guys like John Axford, you get to learn a little bit about people's personalities. He's a big movie buff, and you wouldn't really know that because you think he's just a baseball player. But he went out and put out on social media, his picks for the Oscars, and he went a perfect score. And fans are following along with him, as you can see as I scroll through here, and that's pretty doggone cool because now you have a connection to who he is, and as a fan, you get to view a guy from outside of his uniform. And throughout this project, this video display project, that's the type of things that we're going to look at. I plan on also bringing in a roundtable discussion guest of about 4 or 5 panel guests, ranging from athletes to administrators to coaches, and get their opinions on what they feel or how social media has impacted sports and how they feel personally with social media. For a coach, where we've seen players say racial slurs and get kicked off teams, do they want their players involved in social media? How has the shrinking of the locker room affected them? As an administrator, when stuff like this plays out and it's your university being subject to controversy, how do you feel about it? And then as an athlete, do you like the social media? Do you love the fan connection and interaction? But are you losing your locker room. These are all things that this documentary is going and this film is going to take a look at, as well as having a fan page put up where we're going to constantly update information and whatnot. These are the things that we're going to look through the project and investigate throughout the piece.